invalid, but parliamentarian David Bosti said the government would appeal and overturn the ruling. So, I think that when you talk about other countries and their laws, and it's hard to say what they should and shouldn't do, people say, because you're not part of that country or that culture. But I disagree. Some things are universal and are human rights. And we're talking about human rights here, not civil liberties necessarily, just that, but human rights, what you as a human being are innately entitled to. And so it doesn't matter what country these people are from. Just because they are on a different part of the planet doesn't mean that their beliefs should be excused any more than those of those in the Middle East whom believe it's okay to beat women when they speak when they're not shouldn't be speaking or whatever, speaking in church, or they shouldn't be pastors. They shouldn't be able to go out with themselves, or if they're in a room with another man without permission, they can be killed, and it's acceptable in those countries. So it's no different here in Uganda than those. This is a barbaric and incredibly horrible law, and the fact that it was allowed to stand at all is abhorrent to me. And but fortunately, it was overturned, and hopefully, it will stay that way. Unfortunately, there's so many fucking countries that agree with them, and they continue to enact laws to essentially kill off the gays. We also had Michael Sam this year. He became the first openly gay football player in the NFL. And he was drafted by the St. Louis Rams, and he was also congratulated by President Obama. And he made his professional debut, but was cut by the Rams later that month. And then in September, he was added to the practice squad of the Dallas Cowboys, hopefully in hopes that he might be, drafted. And unfortunately, that didn't happen there either. And some people have said, well, it's an embarrassment that he wasn't drafted by any of the teams because he's gay and he's representational of the gay community, blah, blah, blah. And I disagree with that. I think he's achieved something important. He's been able to be an openly gay football player, and as an openly gay football player, be drafted by a team in the NFL, and that's amazing. Whether he was good enough to last or not, or whether it was because he was gay he was cut, or whatever the reasons were, he did something and achieved something that no one has done before, and that is to be commended. He's broken through a barrier that people have not been able to do thus far, and that is an impressive thing. We also had to contend with the Boy Scouts this year. The Boy Scouts of America, they implemented a policy that would allow openly gay people into their communities or their troops or whatever. Although gays and lesbians who are over the age of 18 are still barred from serving as scout leaders, troop members, or volunteers. So as a compromise for them facing, problems in sponsorship or whatever because of the discriminatory policies, they passed this law or passed this rule in order to appease both sides, which is ridiculous because it's basically saying that if you're a Boy Scout, you can be a Boy Scout. Sure, you can be gay and be a Boy Scout, but once you reach 18, you can't be a troop leader. You can't ever participate in anything again as a volunteer or anything else, which is ridiculous. So it's just another stupid law. Also this year, we contended with the fact that the CDC or whatever, or whatever the fucking organization is that deals with blood, had considered lifting the ban on gay men donating blood. If you didn't realize it, if you're a gay man in this country, you're barred from donating blood. And that started, of course, around the times of the AIDS crisis in the early 80s, because AIDS first appeared in the gay community. As a panicked response, the blood supply organizations like the American Red Cross and so forth took it upon themselves to enact this rule so that gay men could not, quote unquote, pollute the blood supply. So the ridiculous thing is that blood these days, of course, now we didn't have tests then, but we do now to test it for HIV, to test it for any diseases at all. We can test blood for these things and ensure that the blood is clean. So it doesn't. It's ridiculous to make it so that gay men cannot bar gay men from giving blood now, when it's just like everybody else. Their blood's tested just like everyone else's for the same diseases, and AIDS, of course, and HIV are not gay diseases. So they decided ultimately they decided that they would in January begin to allow gay men to donate blood. However, there was a catch. The catch is gay men can, at that point donate blood. However, it's only if they have not slept with another man in the past year. That's the most fucking stupid, ridiculous thing I've ever heard. How many gay men, first of all, do you think have not slept with another man in the past year? I mean, men are men. So most gay men are going to have slept with another man, whether it's casually or they're in a monogamous relationship with a man or whatever, within the past year. I mean, that precludes probably 90% of the gay population from ever giving blood. And that's, of course, considering if they tell the truth about it, which I don't know why you would. But that's just ridiculous. So essentially the ban still stands and is still there, and it doesn't change anything at all. So I find it to be highly offensive that they even did this, by saying, oh yeah, sure, as long as you don't sleep with someone in a year. I mean, that's fucking ridiculous. So nothing really changed. So if you're wanting to give blood and you're a gay man, you can still give blood. Just lie and say you haven't slept with someone else in a year, because they're still going to test your blood and it's not going to fucking matter. September of this year, we had 3 people charged by police in a physical attack on a gay couple in Philadelphia, which happened to be in September 11th of this year. And both of the people who were attacked had facial fractures as a result. They were beat that badly. And the police had released a closed-circuit surveillance camera footage of the group of 3, and about 15 suspects. And people online matched the people's Facebook check-ins and a group to the group at an area restaurant, and they figured out who the 3 people were as a result of this. And the attack basically started to spur more discussion about how Pennsylvania has no protection for sexual orientation in the state's hate crime statutes. And of course, I think every state should have protections for gay people, specifically for gay people, due to hate crime. Because the majority of the time when a gay person is bashed, it's because they're gay. It's not because, what they're wearing or what they look like or whatever, or their political affiliation. It's because of the fact that they're gay. Whether they say that's the reason or not, it's typically the reason why. I think if anybody's hit for a reason at all, any reason at all, and they're gay, then you should just fucking make them, make it a hate crime regardless, but whatever. Speaking earlier about, Vladimir Putin, we also had to contend with the Sultan of Brunei this year, who passed a Sharia law in Brunei, a law that will eventually include the death penalty by stoning for anyone who's found guilty of homosexual acts. And he also happens to be the owner of several fancy hotel properties in Hollywood, including the Beverly Hills Hotel and a lot of other places. And so there were a lot of boycotts this year of the Beverly Hills hotels, but by a lot of famous stars and people refusing to go there because of his policies. And people were outraged that they would do this because they said, what about the waiters and the staff and the people who depend on the money? You're not hurting the Sultan, you're hurting them. And that may be true, but I think there are some things that are more important, like making the fucking point that, it's not right that to kill people because they're gay at anywhere in the world. Just because it's not in America doesn't mean it doesn't affect us, and it does. And so I don't find it to be. I find that to be a far more worse thing than someone losing a waiting job somewhere. Yes, they may need it, but they can find one somewhere else. That's how I feel about it. Then we had Arizona's legislature this year passed their so-called license to discriminate bill, and they sent it to Governor Jan Brewer for signature, and it would have given legal protection to businesses and individuals that denied goods and services to certain consumers, including gay people, same-sex couples, single women, and people of different religions, on the grounds that serving them would place a substantial burden on their exercise of religion. But she actually vetoed the bill. So, when Jan Brewer, the fucking conservative queen, Skeletor queen, when she bans something that's that far to the right, that's pretty fucking bad. That means that the law must be really bad because she banned it, but she did, and I'm glad she did. Then we had, of course, a lot happening with marriage this year, marriage equality, for gay rights, gay marriage in this country. We had the marriages that began in Utah at the end of 2013 as a result of the Windsor marriage decision, Edith Windsor, and they were stayed by the Supreme Court. Then January 10th, Eric Holder announced the U.S. government would recognize the marriages performed in Utah, and most states with constitutional bans were in the midst of cases challenging those bans. And the Supreme Court rejected appeals from 5 states, including Indiana, Oklahoma, Utah, Virginia, and Wisconsin. And because the ruling struck down bans in other states as well, the appeals court decisions raised the number of marriage equality states from 19 to 30, plus Washington, D.C. So the following day, a federal appeals court rejected bans in 2 more, including Nevada and Idaho. So it is. So now we're up to 35 states now that have gay marriage, like it or not. Of course, Texas isn't one of them. I've said all along, Texas will be probably the last state to ever allow gay marriage, and we have already had a case in Texas which also ruled gay marriage bans unconstitutional. However, it's been stayed, and they keep waiting and waiting, and they refuse to hear the case. They keep saying they're going to hear the case, but they keep waiting and waiting it out. They're just never going to do it, I'm sure, until it's forced by the government, the federal government. Mozilla's CEO resigned this year. His name was Brendan Eich. He stepped down because it was revealed that he had donated $1,000 to California's Proposition 8 anti-gay campaign in 2008. And I think it's fucking great. You're going to give money to a hate group, which is what that was. Proposition 8's anti-gay campaign was a hate group, in my opinion. And so if you are for Proposition 8 and you're giving money for that cause, saying you don't like gay people, well, gay people will start boycotting your fucking product because that's what you said you believed in. So you have to deal with the fucking consequences, fucker. So that's what happened. And I was perfectly fine with it. California also became the first state to officially ban trans panic and gay panic legal defenses. In the past, defendants in murder cases could ask for a lesser charge of manslaughter, claiming that they were so shocked to learn that their victim was gay or trans that they had no recourse besides violence. As in the 2011 murder trial of teenager Brandon McKierney for the killing of his classmate Larry King. Remember that little boy, little tiny boy, and he was really kind of effeminate, and his name was Larry King, and his classmate Brandon had killed him because Larry had a crush on him. Anyway, so the Brandon guy, he cited gay panic and pled guilty to second-degree murder and voluntary manslaughter and was sentenced to 21 years in prison. The new law makes it clear that a defendant's fear of a victim's sexual orientation or gender identity may not be used as a legal defense. That's also the gay panic defense, by the way, if you know who Harvey Milk was, which most of you guys do know him, who he was now. If you listen to my show, you probably do. That's the defense that the guy who murdered him and Mayor Moscone in 1978, I think it was, in San Francisco used, was gay panic. But anyway, then we have so that's, I don't know, that's enough. That's pretty much what happened this year in gay news. We also, of course, had Joan Rivers' death this year. Joan Rivers died. I really enjoyed her brand of humor and her comedy. I thought she was a survivor, especially if you knew her life story, and I really admired her. So I was really sad to hear about her dying, as well as Robin Williams, who was a really nice, very well-beloved man whom had committed suicide, apparently, and it was sad to lose him as well this year. But anyway, I wanted to say those things before I read this letter from Caleb. And as I said earlier, Caleb is a longtime listener of my show. He has been listening to my show for a few years now. And he's called in a few times. We've talked about his issues, and I've given him advice. And I'm really proud of him because he has, I kind of feel like maybe I've influenced him somewhat.